So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for not telling my soon-to-be wife that I have a child from a one-night stand? So as always, make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, so twice a day I get to remind you to just take a nice little break, unwind, relax from everything crazy going on in the world, because online stranger drama is a lot more fun than whatever else is stressing you out. So OP wrote, am I the antagonist for not telling my soon-to-be wife that I have a child? Okay, kind of long and complicated story, but, semicolon. When I was 18, I went on a lad's holiday to Phuket, Thailand. Whilst I was there, we met a group of girls from New Zealand, and I'm from Australia. I slept with one of these girls, and she ended up getting pregnant. I'm now 23, and my daughter is 5. I keep in contact as much as I can, but obviously it's difficult with living in different countries. I met my fiancée about 2 years ago now, and although I planned on telling her, it was never the right time to have a conversation. There was no chance of a relationship happening with the mother of my daughter, and I only see my daughter 3 or 4 times a year if I'm lucky. My fiancée and I are due to get married in October. Well, last night I tried to have the conversation. It did not go well. She said that I told her when we first got into a relationship, she would have been absolutely fine with it, but the fact that I kept it from her is very upsetting, and she's now talking about rethinking the wedding plans, which I think is a little extreme. My friends, of course, all knew and didn't tell her, which has also upset her as she's close to them. Am I the antagonist? So as always, gonna take the case and just rush it over to Decoy. Come on, we gotta take the case and rush it over to Decoy Court, where I'm gonna give you my knee-jerk reaction, because we shoot this all live, and I don't want to read the top comments first, but we do read the top comments and the controversial comments, and it possibly changes my mind. But I'd say with this situation, the word of the day is timing. You know, Exhibit A is OP didn't share the fact that he has a kid in New Zealand, a country away, and some water between the two of them. The idea is, I get that. There's really no good time to say you have a kid that you don't take care of. Like, I can't imagine being too successful on Tinder with my profile saying, oh, you know, outdoor living, healthy eating, kid in New Zealand I'm not taking care of, and the Boston Celtics. Like, that just doesn't make sense. And the same would go with the first date, your 1-year anniversary, even your engagement. Like, getting on one knee and say, would you take my hand in marriage, and also take care of my estranged child in New Zealand? Like, there's just no good way to explain it, and it never comes at a good point in time, but it does have to come at a point in time, which, you know, Exhibit B is now the right time? Yeah, probably not really. Better late than never, but, you know, he should have told the fiance as soon as they became exclusive, and maybe like 3 months after that, just to be, like, you know, be totally forthcoming. And then good on him for at least bringing it up before she was financially attached to him forever and the rest of her life through marriage. So, you know, we don't want to excuse the bad behavior, but it seems like he was going on that path and corrected it, which brings me to Exhibit C. You know, OP thinks that her rethinking the wedding plans are extreme. No, that makes sense. You know, she was engaged to a person, and then that person came out to become a totally different person. The idea that, like, you know, people will oftentimes catch flack for wanting to avoid dating a single mom or a single father, and that's just a whole other discussion. But the fiance deserves to be able to make an educated decision as to who she spends her time with and who she's going to combine her finances with. So we just want to judge the OP in the situation, and yeah, you're the antagonist. Like, you know, not for having a kid, which seems like he's being somewhat responsible with them. It's just the idea that he expected to be able to dump this information onto someone and have them not change their mind about them. You know, I don't want to compare OP's son to a criminal, but it's like, the way I see it is, you know, the guy saying, you know, hey baby, just so you know, you never met him, but my dad is a career criminal, and at some point in time he might get out and he might want to live with us, so it'll totally change the dynamic of your life and how you want to live it. But, you know, aren't you glad that I finally told you? It's like, no, that changes the game a fair bit, but, you know, you got to give her time to process it. And, you know, if you have time to think about it, you obviously subscribe to DecoyNoise, because we have plenty of time to just gossip and chat and do all this nonsense and take a very lax approach to all these very serious stories. But also, we're going to take a brief break. Let me know your thoughts down below, and also earn that Decoy coin. I do all this stuff myself in one take. The Decoy coin, as to, you know, good comments, good feedback, and hopefully you update what you think after we read the top comments. But the top comment was, you're the antagonist. How did you manage to see your daughter and not tell your fiance? I just can't even fathom why you didn't tell her early on, or how it didn't come up at any point in your relationship. You're definitely the antagonist here, which is true. And the next reply saying, this needs to be upvoted more. The response shows how OP is even the bigger antagonist, which is true. The idea that it seemed like, you know, you're not making excuses for him, but it seemed like he wanted to make the right choice by finally coming clean, letting the fiance know, like, hey, this is a thing that's going to affect us later on. Maybe affect us, maybe not, but I wanted to be very transparent with you. yeah, there's no good time to do it, so good on him for finally doing it. But the idea that his reaction was, how dare she react to something that's very serious, it's going to impact her life in the future and changes who I am to my core. No, I think that's too extreme, you know? She probably even feels a little bit slighted the idea that everybody's not laughing at her, but everybody's keeping the secret from her where she never knew that this was happening. Granted, it's not their place to share that information about OP to his fiance, but it's going to make you feel a little bit, you know, it's going to make you feel a type of way. But let's go ahead and read the next reply saying, you're the antagonist. I'm surprised she's just rethinking the wedding and not completely leaving you. And that may very well be the situation. Like, you're not going to say, it would make the fiance a bad person if she said, oh yeah, you have a son? Okay, yeah. No single dads, you're out. Like, you know, that would make her kind of the bad guy if she just dumped them right from the get-go on that situation. So I do understand why she wouldn't just say, she would say, I'm rethinking the wedding, not like I'm dumping your butt. So I mean, let's go ahead and read a reply to that saying, I think that rethinking the wedding is synonymous with leaving him in the situation, which that is true. Like, exactly what I'm thinking, where she's not going to outright say like, hey, I have a zero tolerance on single dads, so you're gone. It's just, let me rethink the wedding and just kind of maybe ghost him forever. And the next reply is saying, few relationships survive a failure in the stages where you move into marriage. Even just saying no to a proposal can spell doom for the relationship, even if all you really mean is, let's wait. It's just true. It's like, I can't imagine ever dating somebody, moving in with him, and then saying, okay, we're at this primary stage, let's move out now, let's take a break, and all of a sudden we're going to move back in. Like, granted, there may be some situations that are the exception to that rule, but I couldn't personally imagine getting to the engagement stage, coming back from the engagement stage, moving in, moving out, and saying, hey, this has the good trajectory that I'm looking for in a long-term partner. Let's go ahead and read the next top reply saying, you're the antagonist. That's something you need to disclose before you even get into a relationship. And I don't agree with that. That got 2.6K upvotes, but what point in time do you say that without it being inappropriate? Obviously, yes, you should be sharing that information, but it's just like, unless it came up and you're watching a movie with long lost kid, or you're talking about some celebrity's love child or something, like, oh yeah, just so you know, I have this thing. But I just can't imagine being on a first date and, like I said, like, you know, the crazy things, like you're having coffee with somebody and you're like, yeah, so Boston Celtics, I like them, you know, I like hiking, and you know, my son that I'm not allowed to see over in New Zealand, like that's a thing. And then, you know, I like tapas. You like tapas? Like, that just doesn't make sense to bring it in there. But I may be wrong. Maybe I'm the antagonist myself. Earn yourself the Decoy coin by just saying you're the antagonist. Decoy, tell me that you have long lost love children or whatever. But the reply to that saying, seriously, I have a kid is something I expect to be disclosed up front on your dating profile, on the first date, etc. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, because that's the idea of a lot of the dating profiles you come along where they say, you know, I'm into this, I'm into that, and my son or my daughter is the shining light in my life. Like, that gives you the perfect opportunity to see what it is and be like, okay, yes, I want to date them, no, I don't want to. Because here's the thing, is like, at my workplace, I'm child free. I don't have kids. My friend, he has a kid. I think his kid's even in college now, I think. So he has a son. And the thing is, though, is if I'm talking to a person and they have a kid, it's a little bit of a like, okay, well, I don't really know how to be stepdad or whatever. So it's kind of like a reservation for me. But for him, because he has his own son and you find he's talking to a girl and she has a kid and she's like, oh yeah, I have a kid from my last marriage. It's a bonus for him, because now he knows, okay, cool. When he's dating this girl, she's going to understand that his kid comes first, her kid comes first. And they kind of have a common ground of what it is to be a single parent, or be co-parenting with somebody that they're no longer with. So I actually do kind of see that, the idea of disclosing the kid, but I don't think this is the same scenario, because it's like this kid that he doesn't see, that he doesn't have any contact with, he's not allowed to be around there. So I mean, I get both sides of the spectrum, and also the idea that, yes, that's somebody proving me wrong right there, where I initially said I wouldn't want that on my Tinder profile, but then again, it would probably be the correct thing to do. So maybe I'm a little bit flip-flopping on my original decision. But let's go ahead and read the next top reply saying, of course you're the antagonist. Why would you think you weren't? Never the right time. It seems you're not mature enough to have these hard conversations. And maybe that's just shining the light back onto me right now, where it's like, you know, Decoy is just not mature enough to have those hard conversations, which it is true. I don't have a kid. I wouldn't know how it is to break that information to somebody, so that does make sense. And the thing is, though, it was the right time for a proposal, though. Weird. And that's why I kind of felt like my knee-jerk reaction to the situation was, it would be weird to be getting proposed to somebody and being like, yeah, take my hand in marriage, and also the possibility that my son might want to live with us one day. You know, it just seems like a kind of a hard break to what would be normally a good a good moment in their life. But let's go ahead and read one more top reply saying, "You're the antagonist. You should have been open with her about this prior to asking her to marry you. Keeping such a massive secret is not a great way to build trust. That being said, it's not unforgivable." So here's the thing, is maybe she needs time to process it and she can come around and it'll all be good later on. I do get that, but also the idea that, you know, I don't really know the best time to admit you have a child from a one-night stand in a different country, but the idea is, yeah, my initial knee-jerk response was like 3 months. Within 3 months of becoming exclusive would be the right time to say that, because they can still bail out at that point in time. There's really no love lost in that situation. So yeah, it's good that we kind of saw a big range of what people were saying about them, and enough rationale to make me kind of change my mind in the situation. So that was a really good top comment section. Maybe the controversial section will give us even more light as to what he is and what he isn't. So first person saying, "You're the antagonist," and the next one saying, "Isn't New Zealand close to Australia? Why is it hard to see the child?" And the next reply got negative 155 votes, but they says, "I live in Darwin. It's almost an 8-hour flight." So wait, so he lives an 8-hour flight away, so he can't even drive there. So he's 8-hour flight, and probably an expensive flight as well. And then the next reply to that saying, "So not only do you suck for lying to your wife, you also suck for not building more of a relationship with your daughter, even though you only live 8 hours away." And they got lots of upvotes for that, but it's just, maybe the girl just said, "I want to be a single parent. I don't really want to have you around." Like, that does happen where they're like, "Okay, I'm cool with being a single parent. I got plenty of support from other places. I don't even really like you that much. It was just a one-night stand. So you do you, I do me. And if you want to see him on holidays or come by on birthdays, whatever, that's fine." And maybe this was the best agreement. Maybe this is what everybody wanted in this situation. And we're going to be here and just blast him for being like, "Hey, I'm 8 hours away. They didn't want me around. So whatever." Like, obviously, people are very hypersensitive to the idea that, you know, not taking care of your kids and being a deadbeat dad. So I do understand that Reddit is going to blast people like this, but I just personally I don't agree with the idea that, him being 8 hours away and possibly not wanted in that whole like family unit is a reason to just like flame them online. But let's go ahead and read the next controversial reply that says, "You're the antagonist, but I'm still sympathetic to you. You just kind of coasted in the relationship with the intention to tell her eventually, but you're the antagonist because you waited too long. I don't think everybody with a kid or any other kind of situation needs to divulge that information before they can become considered for dating, unless it's on a dating site where you're explicitly supposed to divulge it. But waiting years to tell her was not the right move. You should have told her the moment you sensed it might be getting serious. And yes, you would have risked her walking away then, but either way, she would have respected you. Now you've risked losing her respect and her trust by waiting so long." And that got heavily downvoted, but I agree with the sentiments there, saying that, hey, you wanted to wait for the right moment, it never came up, and now you're kind of the antagonist for waiting this long, but at least you did it. And the idea is you should be able to give her the option whether she wants to date you or not, whether she has a prejudice against single dads or not. That's her choice, that's her life. The idea that I posted that fake story earlier on where I had it where, hey, there was just this bro that doesn't know how to word things eloquently, and it's kind of a jerk, tells his buddy, "Hey, just so you know, the girl you're dating had been with a lot of OP in that situation, and his, like, you know, his workmates. She had been with us casually. You should probably know, so you can make an educated decision whether you want to look past that and just like her and be with her, or you want to just walk away from the situation, because at some point in time they're gonna find out. So just because you give, you know, the fiance in this situation or the friend in that other situation information doesn't inherently make anybody a bad person. Why can't people just make their own choices and live the life that they want to, instead of everybody just kind of hold a secret from them? I feel like a lot of these times people judge these situations not based on who's right and who's wrong, who's the antagonist, who's the good guy. It's just who's the victim and who is doing the thing that we don't like him to do. Now let's all get our torches and our pitchforks and just go at him right now. So there's my little spiel on that. But the next controversial reply, "What do you think?" They got upvotes. So we have a guy that gave a well thought out decision, like advice for him as to why they think a particular way, how they have empathy for him. It's kind of like, you know, fair, and just like, you know, they're trying to feel everybody's situation out for like the way that I do it. They got negative 21 points, but a guy that just says, "Hey, what do you think?" The lowest effort comment that could be posted in any Am I the Antagonist post, any r/relationship post, any post probably anywhere, any Instagram post, anywhere. Just, "What do you think?" And they're getting more upvotes than someone that's actually willing to take the time out of the day to help them and actually give them some input when they're asking for input. I hate this sub sometimes. But the next controversial post, they got lots of downvotes, are saying, "So people are still having intercourse with no protection? How is this not a concern for humans?" There's a lot of stuff we can. They got negative votes. We can give a lot of feedback on that person right there. But you know what? We're just gonna sidestep this, like in the old N64 GoldenEye game. We're just gonna sidestep it and just not even give that the reply, because that's gonna get us in trouble. So the next reply is saying, I need more information. When visiting your daughter, would you spend the time with her and your ex? Would you spend lots of time with your daughter? Were you openly lying to your fiance about what you did on those business trips? Imagine your fiance not only lying about a child, but also taking business trips to see the child and ex for days at a time without telling you any of it. Which I didn't catch the whole business trip situation, but maybe that's exactly what you're saying. Like, oh, he'd go out of town and then just kind of be MIA. If OP was explicitly lying, like not, oh, where are you going on your trip? Oh, I'm just going over to New Zealand for a while, you know, gonna go party or something. Then yeah, he's the antagonist. She's leaving him. That's done. But the idea is, if she just never really questioned what he was doing and it just never came up, I can kind of see that being like a little bit less he's the bad guy. But let's go ahead and go over just a few more of these controversial replies. Not the antagonist, negative votes. So someone's saying, you're the antagonist. Having a kid in the picture, regardless of how often, can be a deal breaker in some relationships. You stated your partner said that she wouldn't have minded the child if she had known from the beginning, so it wouldn't have been an issue. She may have seen this as a trust issue in one of two ways. One, you didn't trust her enough to stick around long enough to meet your daughter because you didn't think the relationship was going to last. Or two, you didn't know you had one kid, or she didn't know you had one kid, and how many more could there be? It could lead to an unpleasant scenarios running through her mind. Either situation is plausible in her mind right now, and if you really want to marry her, I recommend talking with her to see why she feels like she needs to bring everything to a halt. Now, you're not going to like this, because I think if she wants to continue the relationship, you should halt your wedding plans and go to couples counseling. It may resolve your issues. You seem like you do love her, so I hope my advice is helpful and useful. Good luck. So they got some upvotes. They seem to have some good information. The idea that she's probably thinking, okay, what else is he hiding? What else am I going to find out? Which is a big trust. That's a big strain on their trust. And also the idea that he probably should have let them know early on, and maybe that's a deal breaker. Like, you don't want to shame somebody that doesn't want to be with someone with a child from Thailand that's all now in New Zealand right now, so that she's probably having some second thoughts. So this is all good information that we only got from controversial, because as you know, pretty much everything I'm saying on this channel right now is controversial. So make sure you subscribe if you like giving some blatant feedback, because let's be honest, I do believe a lot of what I say, but sometimes you just kind of play a character where you just want to be the decoy defense, or be on the side, or be the devil's advocate, where you just want to do things for entertainment's sake. So I mean, if you like that type of content, let me know down below. Get yourself that Decoy coin by giving me your feedback initially, then your feedback after we get over all the top and controversial comments. But as always, if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you just watching all the content and really trying to see it from my perspective, top perspectives, controversial perspectives, and also the Decoy koi pond. Everything that we see down below always seems a bit more civil than what's on the Reddit thread. So if you want to support me and the channel, head over to DecoyNoise.com, where I have a Patreon, I have a Ko-Fi where you can support me. But if you can't support me that way, that's perfectly fine. Just enjoy all the content. Maybe share the videos with somebody you know that would like this type of podcast, and just sit back, relax, and watch more DecoyNoise coming up next.